Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this PTA meeting for February 8th, 2022. This is actually our first PTA meeting for the new year since we ended up canceling the last one in January. So we're very excited to have everybody here. Welcome again. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quickly so you can see some of the items that we have on the agenda for today. So we'll do a quick little president's welcome. We're going to move over into the approval of minutes, go into the treasurer's report. Then we'll have some committee reports, updates from Chad and Leslie. Then our main topic is going to be Virginia 529. We're going to be welcoming a guest named Ashley Nemeth, who will be talking to us about the program. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's a college savings program, but I'll leave it at that and let her talk about it. And then we'll look at some of the upcoming events and volunteer opportunities. All right, so a quick little thing for the 2021-2022. How are we doing so far? That's what I wanted to cover with the strategic plan. So really, if you recall at the beginning of the year, beginning of the school year, we launched a strategic plan that was built around the theme of building resilient individuals through engaging collaboration. And the concept and the idea behind that was to work together as a community, come out of this COVID era, and just get back to a sense of normalcy. So in terms of how we're doing with that, I just want to throw a couple things up there. We can't do any of this without membership. We obviously want to have as many members as possible. We set a very ambitious goal of 157. We are currently at 119. So we're 38 members short of where we would like to be. But that said, we're only 4 members down from where we were in 2019, our pre-pandemic days. So we're pretty much back to the pre-pandemic levels. Lauren, for your purposes, since I know that you were taking notes, I will send you the numbers so you don't have to worry about that. And then for the teachers, this is the part that I'm really excited about. In 2019 and in 2019, 20 year, and then 2021 year, we had 12 teachers total that joined the PTA ranks. This year for 21-22, we have more than doubled that. So we're currently at 26 teachers, and we've had a couple have come in over the last couple of days. Enrichment, we really didn't have a defined goal when we started out, what we were going to be doing for this. Let me go ahead and actually close this part out so you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, we didn't really have a defined goal of what we wanted to do for enrichment, but we've been able to add the spelling bee. We've got some spring programs that are going to be in the works that'll be either PTA funded or it'll be funded by the school as well. So I can let Chad talk a little bit about that. If you want to talk about it now, Chad, some of the programs, or you want to defer it to your, okay, we'll come back to it. Teacher support, we want to continue to show appreciation for our teachers and also have some teacher grants. We offered a holiday breakfast, which was well received. It was Panera Bread, gave us some really good breakfast that they provided for the teachers. So it was good, meaningful right before they left for winter break. And then we've been able to sponsor $1,000 plus in teacher grants. And I say $1,000 plus because there were some funds that were able to come out of the school's budget for some special like COVID related funds that they had gotten. It's called ESSER is the name of the program. They got ESSER funds that qualified for that, whereas it did not come out of the teacher budgets or the teacher grant budget from the PTA. Meeting topics, we wanted to have some interesting meeting topics. We didn't really have a defined goal around that. But since, we've had some of our meetings, we've had some items that were school-based, which we called them coffee chats in the past, and that's what we said we would continue to do. We've had some topics of interest, like tonight's going to be the 529 speaker. And then we've also had school board members have come to speak at some of our past meetings. So we've really kind of plugged along pretty well in terms of where we want to be. We will be working on some additional in-person events that are not currently on the list. And that's what we've got kind of lined up for the future. But as far as a little quick update about what we said we were going to do in our strategic plan and where we are, here's a little comparisons to that. So before we go on to our next item, are there any questions about the strategic plan that I can answer or about our progress that anybody has? Either put it in the chats or you can unmute and ask away. Nobody? Everybody's just blown away by the work that the PTA has done, I suppose. All right. I'm sure somebody's got a question out there. Or I'll call on people. Christy, I'm sure you have a question. Nope. All righty. All right, let's move on to the next items then. So Wednesday, tomorrow is School Crossing Guard Appreciation Day. So we sent an email out earlier today, just asking people if you can just write some cards, send it in with your kids. We'll have somebody up there to collect some of the cards so Rick can see just how appreciative everybody is. So even if it's just like a small little note, we encourage you just to have your kids just write something maybe in the morning or write something now, just saying thank you. And we'll make sure that he gets all those. So I think the email went out, made it sound like that maybe the teachers will collect them. So Chad, Leslie, if we're able to get some of those cards from the kids or from the teachers, just maybe in the afternoon, we can drop off things that are collected that way. But, I'll be out there in the morning with the basket, or we'll have another volunteer out there in the morning to at least collect some of the cards. So that way he can see, just firsthand how much we appreciate him. It's a difficult intersection. There's always crazy traffic that's there. We've never had a consistent crossing guard for an extended amount of time. Maybe a year has been at the most. So Rick took it upon himself a couple of times last year to look at, he took it upon himself last year to, step in when there was no crossing guard that was available. And so now he's doing the same thing, just made it his permanent spot. So definitely want to show him lots of the love. As far as the National PTA School of Excellence program, that's a program that the National PTA sponsors. We've applied for it. We've talked about it a couple of meetings. We looked at doing a school transition success kit. So I'll read just a quick little bit about what that is and kind of where we are with that particular program. So our goal is to establish a school transition success kit to assist students and families with various academic transitions during the student's life cycle. Kindergarten parents often feel a bit lost when starting at school for the first time, while fifth grade parents do not always have clear expectations or understandings of their options when transitioning to a sixth grade at either the district-ed middle school, which is Canterbury Woods, or the local Advanced Academic Placement AAP Program Center, where the sixth grade, district school is Holmes, and then local Advanced Academic Placement Center, where sixth grade is considered elementary. That's Canterbury Woods. Additionally, several third grade parents do not always have a strong understanding of their options when their child tests into the AAP program. Parents can either keep their children at North Springfield Elementary for a local level 4 AAP curriculum, or they can matriculate into the regional level 4 AAP center school, again, Canterbury Woods. The results of the baseline survey, which we did at the beginning of the year, demonstrates that parents do not have a strong understanding of how the school involves them in the transition process. Unknown was the most common response to question number 8 of the survey, and this question had the lowest average score of the 20 questions. Our decision to make this goal was data-driven, and our work this year will reflect the theme of the 2021-22 strategic plan, building resilient individuals through engaging collaboration. As we develop this toolkit to provide the school with a solid resource that helps parents make informed decisions easily and ultimately foster student success. Now, subsequently to applying for this program, we also decided to add an incoming, outgoing military families aspect to this school transition success kit. So teams are going to be working on this. Robin Monin and Bobby Grady are going to be representing the kindergarten parents, and we thank all of our volunteers that have stepped up for this. As far as the AAP, Amy Rufert, she's a past PTA board member, and my wife, Christy, she's also a past PTA member, will be representing the AAP portion of that. Fifth to sixth grade transition, the Dell boys will be helping out, as well as Michelle Maurer, who has a current child at North Springfield, as well as a current child at Holmes. And I've asked a friend of mine, Mel Carlos, he doesn't have any current kids at North Springfield, but he sent his kids to Canterbury Woods for sixth grade. So I thought he would be a good addition to the team. And then we have Katie, and she's going to rope in her husband, John Frederick, to work on the military aspect of things. And they've all agreed to helping out with this particular program. So very happy about that. We'll have a meeting hopefully sometime this month. I wanted to have it last month. We didn't end up doing that, but hopefully we'll have this month so we can sort of discuss pulling this together and get it together in time for some of our upcoming events, like kindergarten open house and orientation, as well as some of the other events that are happening at the other benchmarks for AP and whatnot. All right. Any questions about the school success kit before we talk about the nominating committee? Nope. All right. So nominating committee, every year we have to nominate officers. And so for that process, typically we have, we've tried to elect people in February, and then that way they can present the slate of officers at least 30 days in advance. And then we vote on it at our June meeting. So I had emailed the board last night and said that we should be in good shape if we defer this into March. I was talking with another parent who sort of pointed out some of the timeline, and we're still in good shape if we defer this until March, but it does give the nominating committee a little bit of a shorter time to put together their slate of officers. Since we have a president and president-elect model, there is no need for a president there's no need for us to nominate a president. So Jen Delboy will be going into that spot next year. We do currently have the president-elect position that is going to be getting phased out by the Virginia PTA. So they do not want a president-elect position starting with the 2023 elections. So we do have the opportunity to, continue with the president-elect model, or if, we have a bylaw change, or if we want to vote as a membership to, not have that for the 2023 election, I would like to propose that to the membership for just making a unilateral decision on that. I know, Amy, this is your second year, you're termed out, correct? Okay, so we will need a new treasurer. And, Lauren, should she wish to continue, is eligible to continue. Tiffany, who's in our, I should say Lauren is in our secretary role. Tiffany, who's in our fundraising role, if she's eligible to continue, if she would like. Dan, who's in our membership role, is eligible to continue in those positions. So ultimately, it will be up to the nominating committee to determine who are the right people for the positions next year. Doesn't necessarily have to be the incumbents. But if you are interested in serving on that committee, please let me know. Just some insights about that. What you do is you just, look at all the applications of people who have expressed interest in joining the committee. And then you also look amongst the school community to see who would be good for these various roles. And then as a committee, you collectively make a determination as to, who you're going to present as your slate of officers. That gets voted on at our June meeting, and we will have to change the time of our June meeting since it'll, the second Tuesday of June is actually after school ends. So we'll talk about that at a future meeting. But anyhow, with regard to, just presenting the slate and doing the nominations, anybody can run from the floor as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you're not selected and you really wanted to fill a role, then you can always run from the floor. That's always an option. But at this point, if there are people who are interested in, volunteering for the nominating committee, please, again, feel free to email me. I'll put my email in the chats, and that way you can just let me know. All right. Any questions about that or anything that I missed from anyone with regard to the nominating committee and the timeline?
And just maybe share, is there a parent teacher to parent ratio that has to be on? It's 3 members, I believe, correct?
Yes, it has to be at least 3 members. It can be more, but it always has to be an odd number. And there is no real teacher to parent ratio. I've liked as a practice, I've liked, and I think some of my predecessors have liked, having at least 1 teacher on there. Doesn't have to necessarily be the chair of the committee, but just having a teacher on there to represent the interests and the perspectives of teachers. So, good point. Any other details that I missed or anything else that anybody wants to bring up about that? Oh, okay. All right, so we will elect or vote on the nominating committee at the next meeting, which will be March 8th. All right, committee. All right, so upcoming events. We do have a couple of upcoming events, and I will just briefly mention them, and some others can talk about that. So tomorrow, Thursday, we have our first spelling bee. Super excited about that. So I will defer talking about that and let Lauren and Karen talk about that maybe when they get to the committee reports. March 14th, we're going to be kicking off the Mathathon fundraiser. Amy, maybe if you want to talk about that on the treasurer's report, feel free to, and Chad and Leslie, feel free to chime in too later on. Spring Festival, May 13th. Again, I'm not the right person to talk about that on the details, but I'll let others talk about it. April 22nd, we will be returning movie night. We're going to have an in-person movie night. That's the plan, at least. And the movie that we're looking at, since it is Earth Day, is The Lorax. So it's about a 2-hour long movie, and it's good, age appropriate, has a good theme for the day. And that is a Friday. April 22nd is a Friday. As far as some immediate needs, we do have some immediate needs for volunteers. Nomination committee I spoke about. And then Ms. Fawcett and Ms. Pomeroy have a need for volunteers. Amy, do you want to talk a little bit about those, since you have more details than I do?
Yeah. So we did this in the fall. The PTA has worked with Ms. Pomeroy, the art teacher, for a number of years on framing kids' artwork. So some artwork is selected, and volunteers come in and frame the artwork. It gets hung in the cafeteria, and then parents have the option to purchase the artwork framed. If they don't want to purchase the artwork, then it'll just come home as it normally would. And the funds that are raised from buying the framed pieces come to the PTA. And we rely on volunteers to help Miss Pomeroy to frame that artwork. Lauren and I went and did it in the fall, and I think we were done, Lauren, in like 20 minutes. It was like super quick.
Yeah. Do we know, is this like any specific grades?
I don't know. So that's a good point. So in the fall, it was kindergarten, first and second.
Yeah, or first and second at least.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I'm not sure exactly who it's going to be, or which grades. Miss Buckreast, who is in preschool, is also helps to coordinate that as well. So Miss Pomeroy wants to do it next Tuesday, the 15th, at school at about 7 o'clock. So if you are available to do that, if you'd like to help out, if you could get in touch with her, that would be great. I will put her email in the chat. And like I said, it's really easy to do. She just needs some help. The other two volunteer opportunities, and I don't have full details yet from Miss Fawcett, but the school, and if you've been to the school, you may see like the big, huge bins. There's one out front, and then there are more like in the vestibule at school that are for plastic. So if you have plastic grocery bags, the bubble wrap that comes in an Amazon box, all sorts of different plastics, the school is collecting them, and then it gets sent to a recycling place, and then we tell the company Trex the weight. If I'm wrong on this, Chad and Leslie, let me know. But we get the weight, and then we tell Trex that, and then if we get enough, then we could win a bench, I think is.
Yeah, there's a way there's a way to calculate weight for bags.
Right.
And when we submit it, and then at the end of the year, the school that collects the most, they give them a free bench, Trex bench. And we seem to always come in second. We've come in second like 3 or 4 days, or 3 or 4 years in a row now. It jumped huge when we just started making it as a sort of a community collection point.
Yep.
Yep. But regardless of where we fall, it's great to recycle that stuff anyway. So yeah. We're really proud of that work that we've done. So
yeah. So Miss Fawcett I think is the one who usually coordinates it, and she's looking to see if we can get a volunteer to come and pick it up and take it to Giant. That's all that needs to happen, is just having somebody to come and pick up and it's usually in like big bags, and take it.
Yeah, it's a lot more than you think, though. It's
Yeah.
like 5 or 6, 7 big bags. So you really do need a pretty good sized vehicle. A
Yeah.
little smart car isn't going to do it.
And then the other one from Miss Fawcett is there's a marker recycling program that Crayola does, and I guess she needs somebody to help coordinate that. So I'll get more details on that, but if you would like to do either of those things, you can message me here, or let the PTA know, or if you know Miss Fawcett, let her know that you're interested in helping with those. And we'll post them on our Facebook page too.
And that kind of got started through a conversation last year, or in the last couple of years, because we were collecting all these markers at the end of the year, and they were all kind of shot, dried up, whatever. And it's like, God, there's got to be a way to recycle all these. I mean, look at them all. And so she did the homework. And
yep. So those are the like 3 immediate opportunities: the framing, the plastic, the bags, and the markers. And Ms. Fawcett is our 1st grade teacher who runs the Eco Club.
Perfect. All right, thanks, Amy. We'll come back to you in a second. Lauren, you're up for approval of minutes.
Ooh, fancy. Hold on. Oh, no, wrong portion of the screen. All right, can you guys see the minutes from December?
Yes, left
Okay.
margin is cut off just a little bit though.
Don't know why. There's a weird green box that I've never seen before. Oh, there we go. So that's hopefully better. December, we had quorum. Obviously, we missed January. December, one of our main focuses was talking about teacher grants and what we were able to fund. And as Ken mentioned, we were able to fund everything in some sort of capacity, either by the water bottles we already had or school funds contributing. School of Excellence, we were starting to plan for the transition packet. There were some liability insurance changes, the bylaws, and Amy's treasurer report. We had to pay our Virginia PTA dues in November, which is a big expense. Our main donations: Amazon Smile, Amazon Associates, Flocking, Spiritware, restaurant nights. We would still love a restaurant night coordinator plug. Mathathon, we pushed back to March. Teacher fall grants, that's when we're going to start seeing those expenditures and expenses now. Spelling bee, over 20 kids, that's happening Thursday. We'll get to that. Principal's report. Kiss and Ride is going to change coming up. School sing along was a success from what I hear. Teacher appreciation breakfast was also a success. I think we were able to do a hot breakfast instead of just bagels and cream cheese, which was nice. And then we had our special guest from December talking about some of the school programs and things coming up, volunteer opportunities, which are ongoing. And that's about it. So, Ken, motion.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve.
All right, Karen motions. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Amy.
Amy. Okay. All right. Any discussion about the minutes or any corrections? No. All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, minutes are approved. Thank you so much. All right, Amy, you're up for treasurer's report.
Okay. All right, so here we go. We have had, aside from the breakfast, that was amazing. I was subbing that day. Thank you very much for breakfast. Aside from the breakfast that we had in December, we haven't had many activities going on, but we do have the spelling bee on Thursday. So we're doing well financially. We got $16 from Amazon Associates recently. And we did ask for donations for the breakfast, and we were able to, we had $185 in donations to help offset the cost of the breakfast, which was great. And we have Mathathon on here, and I can, we're looking at having that be in March. I don't know if you want me to talk about that now, Ken, or.
I can touch base.
Yeah,
on
Chad,
it.
if you want to, when you do your portion. And we do need somebody to help with restaurant night. That would be great. We still have spiritware up in the store. And I think, so our family science night here is, we did receive some donations for it, but most of the cost of it came back to the PTA, and we were hoping for more in donations than we received. So I think that's about it.
All right, so how are we looking on revenue versus expenses?
So we're doing well. I don't have any concerns about where we are and compared to as well, like what our budget was. It'll be interesting. We do have, when I was looking at this earlier, we did have, we have a line item for a silent auction, which usually goes along with bingo. And that's something that I don't know if we're going to be able to do. So that will play into how we finish the year, but hopefully some other things will be able to offset that.
All right, any other questions on the budget for Amy before we ask for a motion to approve? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
In motion.
All right, motion by Lauren. Is there a second?
A second.
All right, I heard Karen and somebody else. All right, all those, is there any discussion? No. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? All right, hearing none, treasurer's report is approved. All right, really quickly, let's get through some of the committee reports because I'm sure I don't think there's a whole lot of updates. Dan unfortunately had to go out on a call, so he is one of our bravest firefighters here in actually he's in Alexandria, I believe. So yeah, he is had to go out on a call, so he is not able to give a report, but he said that just a reminder about spiritware. There's spiritware that's available for purchase on our website, so make sure you go to NSESPTA.org. I'll put that in the chats, and you can purchase items through our Member Hub store. Actually, I'll put the link directly on there. Any other committee reports? We got Tiffany, Jen, Karen.
It's Tiffany here. I don't have anything to report.
Are we going to talk about the spelling bee later, or do you want us to give a quick update on that?
Yeah, you can talk about it now. That's fine.
Okay, so I mean, things are moving along. We are having the spelling bee on Thursday. and it starts at 6 o'clock, and we're really excited. And that's pretty much, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
And then
We had a
what?
couple of kids drop out, but we're still at 21.
I have to double check the spreadsheet.
21, 20.
We're right around 20. I mean, I figured,
Yeah.
you know, you always figure you're gonna get a couple of kids dropping out at the last minute just because of nerves or what have you. And then we also had the meeting today about the spring fair. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
There will be a spring fair May 13th. hopefully.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. It will be kind of like a carnival with games and prizes and food and all sorts of fun things. And Allie Mallon, who is a first grade teacher, is heading it. We are looking for volunteers in any capacity. If you are creative, Mrs. C, for those of you who don't know, she's a K teacher, offered to head up the decorations committee. We are going to work on having some food trucks, and we need someone who can maybe help with games and logistics, just whatever your
Entertainment.
Yeah, entertainment. We heard there may be a couple of food truck locals in the neighborhood, but we don't necessarily know who they are, as in owners, like parents of kids of current students or alumni. If you know of any of those people, please send them our way. I will throw either Karen or I will throw the spring fair email up in the chat. So please reach out. We would love help. We're looking forward to a big community event and an event focused on fun, especially after the couple of years we've had.
Yeah, and Lauren, and we met a week ago to kind of, in our executive board meeting, we kicked around a bunch of ideas. And Amy, to your point of the, we've talked about, I know they wanted to do a cakewalk, but also doing the baskets
Right.
during the Spring Fest, so we could kind of absorb some of that in there.
Yeah.
I can roll this right into my report if Lauren, you want to. I'll let you tie it up, and then I can roll right into that.
I will tie it up by saying we want your help. We want your ideas. However you can help, if it's with time the day of, if it's before with some crafts, if it's maybe donating materials or something, we would love community input. That's all.
Yeah, and even in like dads from a construction standpoint, as far as maybe like making cornhole games or some of the other games out of PVC and some of that piece. And a good segue, this is part of our, Ken referenced our ESSER money, which is the federal grant, that schools get money out of that. And we do get a budget. It's been issued to us in two different buckets, one being an academic bucket, one being a wellness bucket. And out of that wellness money, it's been a very conscious decision to really use as much as we can of those funds towards our goal of building community and that piece of it. So we can't buy food with it. However, we are earmarking a number of light items around supplies, whether it be wood, PVC, buying games, anything that we can use to kind of enhance the whole evening. We're also looking at it from a longevity piece of buying materials or creating games or buying games and items that we can use year after year, so that we're getting the biggest bang for our buck and using that money to support, a fun community event. We're also trying to use it to subsidize paying for an event like this, while the money that does come in, whether it be from ticket sales or food items or whatever, however that shakes out, will all come back to the PTA, not the school. So we're using the school funds to facilitate bringing the community together. However, the funds generated from the event will benefit the PTA directly, which gives a great shot in the arm to the PTA. It also gives us the most flexibility in how we use those funds from a PTA school partnership in the future, because there is a lot of flexibility when it comes to the PTA funds and donations, more so than I have as far as how sometimes the funds come to us from the county and the school side of it. So we're really excited about kind of this whole spring weekend is really a great celebration. We're looking at, I've already touched base with our band and strings teachers as part of possibly a performance during that. We've talked a little bit about getting, we have a number of kids that are part of dance troops or taekwondo performance troops or that piece of it, and letting them do some kind of, they do, a lot of them have like a competition, either dances or performances or routines that they do as part of their group. So kind of reaching out. I've already talked to Andrew Gauss, like they said, a band and strings. So we're starting to kind of see who can, who might want to be part of it in that capacity. We talked about having food trucks and that. So I think it's really going to just be fun. We're going to have music, we'll have DJ, and so we're pretty excited about that. Working backwards, since that's probably the furthest out, the Mathathon, we're going to kick that off on actually March 11th with an afternoon assembly with the kids, and the actual Mathathon will be the week after, starting, that's the 12th to the 14th, Monday the 14th. And the goal again is
Pi Day, that's why we're
Pi
starting
Day.
that day.
Oh, yeah,
Pi
Pi Day, 3.14 and
Math
March
connection.
14th, that's why we chose that week. So we're going to have a lot of fun that week with different dress and different themes every day. We're bringing awareness to math and how math is all around us and the fun with math. And we're also using this, rather than doing Boosterthon or one of these other organizations that take anywhere from 40 to 50% of the money that's come in for running their program. We're going to kind of do this internally with some mechanisms that we already have. We're going to run the money through the PTA. What's the name of the site that you guys use for the cash?
We'll use
Member Hub.
Member Hub to collect donations and that piece of it. And the beauty of that is what we will spend to run Mathathon will be just to reward classrooms or grade levels or and that piece of it. But all the money that does come in will stay with us. And if we, on a typical Boosterthon, we gross somewhere between 25 and 30,000, and we keep typically 16 to 18 or 19,000 of that. Well, if we can get even half of that, it all stays with us. That's why I think on the budget sheet, we set a goal of 10,000, which would be absolutely amazing. And there'll be more information coming out in the next couple of weeks around that. And we're going to be using the program that the kids are all familiar with, ST Math, and the number of games to kind of create pledges and the competition side of it as a way to kind of monitor and get the kids involved. Let's see, kindergarten orientation is going to be March 31st. And this is, Leslie and I really and I saw the one comment about Valentine's Day and in the chat, and we talked about this ad nauseum, it seemed like, and it just seemed as we were making these decisions, we were still at, 1 or 2 COVID kids a day coming in after the first of the year. And we just, with the information we had, so we decided let's stay with the protocols we have in place for birthdays and all the other holidays up to this point, just to keep it simple, and then allow the teachers to get thinking. We're going to do a number of things in-house. Valentine's Day is also the 100th day of school. So there are going to be celebrations all around the building, whether it be kindergarten and first grade would celebrate 100 days. I know a lot of the teachers have turned Valentine's Day into a writing project, which has been tremendous. We have a drop everything, which is something we did for wellness, where the teachers find out a week ahead of time that we're going to do a drop everything. It's going to be Friday to kick off Valentine's Day. And we have a project where we're going to randomly mix the classes, and they don't know whose class they're getting a Valentine from or giving to, but they're putting together a heart jigsaw puzzle as a class, and each piece of the puzzle.
This is a surprise.
I know, but it
Yeah,
will be.
thanks for letting me know.
They'll be working. Oh God, I forget you're here. Cheating. Don't say
I'll
anything.
tell my whole team.
Oh, great. So, but we have some really fun activities and have really tried to build community with it, even though we can't do the candy and stuff, which, by the way, surprisingly, even though we've not brought candy in, just through lunches alone and kids sharing candy when they shouldn't be in lunches, we've had the EpiPen 2 or 3 kids this year, which has been a real surprise. So the food does continue to be, something we have to be thinking about. But that being said, Leslie and I really have thought, and we are going to work very hard moving forward to get back to normal. Kindergarten orientation, we've made the decision. We're bringing the kindergartners in, we're bringing the parents in, and we're having people in the building for sure. Mathathon, we're going to need people in the building. We're starting this week with our spelling bee with, first real big event with parents coming back in the building to watch. So we've made that decision that, it's time. We're to a point where, things are on a really positive slope and trend, and it's time to start opening the school back up to what we, would know and expect from an elementary school where, things are fun and people come in and it's everybody is involved. So we are moving back in that direction. I totally think if we can plan in whoever wants, I know I saw somebody's name, I'm not sure who was, for the kindergarten play date and orientation, we can definitely get that on the books. So we're ready to do that over the summer, with our incoming kindergartners. We get popsicles and meet on the playground and whatnot. I know the middle school's putting a big effort into, Ms. Malkowski and I were in conversations with them about, trying to do a better job of letting parents know what really is involved when there's a lot of planning. We've already actually had the middle school staff at North Springfield, actually was it last week or the week before, to start to talk to the kids about picking classes and, what some of those, the theater class and music and band and string, some of these other classes entail. So we are working with that. I know it's with the kids, the missing pieces with the parents, and I think that's a goal to work on for sure. And we do have to resubmit our Purple Heart as a Purple Heart School, our application. So I was really excited to see military on there, so we can continue to be a Purple Heart School with the state also. So that's great. And so we'll be working to resubmit that application and kind of start planning. We had a great 3-year plan going, and then COVID hit after we had a great Veterans Day, and then all of a sudden, but anyway, so I'd like to get back on that track too. I'm reading through my notes here. I guess I should just ask the person who remembers everything. Leslie, what did I miss?
I think you got most of it. There was just a question about the fifth grade. There is going to be a field trip. It's not going to be to Baltimore. I don't, Chad, do you want to talk specifics about that? Or do you,
Yeah,
we don't really have the
we-
details? We're still working it out. They are not
Yeah.
going to Baltimore, but we
They're
are
going
on
to
a
Camp
trip.
High Road, and
Yeah.
they're doing a leadership, like a leadership training program where they're doing zip lines and team building and that piece. So they're going to spend the day out at Camp High Road, which is out by Middleburg, that direction. And
And it'll just
so
be our 5th grade, like with the
Just-
COVID restrictions, it's only our kids, which is great.
that will, yeah, we have the whole camp to ourselves, and their staff will be leading our kids through it. They normally don't take groups actually as large as ours, but we pitched them and they said, you know what, we'll do it. So we're pretty excited about that. But there'll be more details coming home pretty soon for 5th grade parents.
Chad, we had a couple of questions that were in the chats earlier that were asked before the meeting. So how are students feeling with the current AAP curriculum? Are level 4 students feeling challenged?
I could have brought some great data if I knew that question was being asked, because we actually just did a huge data dialogue, and the kids are doing fantastic. The progress that they're making is it's far surpassed where we thought, and this is just across the board, but particularly those students are doing really well. Also, as far as the AAP curriculum and access for all and our journey there, we have an ongoing board. So every time a grade level uses a different strategy or part of that curriculum, it gets posted in our CLT, which is where our teachers meet weekly, twice a week, and have their team meetings. It's unbelievable what our teachers are doing as far as delivery model from the AAP curriculum, the delivery models used within the AAP, or even taking segments and parts of the curriculum and using it with whole grade levels. And what we're finding actually is our level 4 students, not only are they taking in that information, but because it's being taught and talked about on a broader level, they are becoming leaders of the conversation. And actually, it's enhancing what they not only are learning, but they are almost mastering it, because they're being asked to explain different things back to their peers. They're being asked to lead groups. They feel like, in a lot of senses, that their ability to have gone through some of this, these different strategies prior to maybe say the rest of their team, either class or grade level has used them. They do feel a little bit of, let's say, expertise or familiarity with how things work. And when other kids are sharing their ideas, it's broadening their perspective, because they're adding to, using the word and, they're taking in other ideas and they're saying, and, or we could also, and they're broadening some of those conversations. So it really has, it's been really eye-opening actually at how much, not only has it helped all the students, but it's really pushed our level 4 kids who, math is the only grade, I see a thing in there about math. Math is the only piece that is a separate curriculum, so that those groups of kids are being taught that curriculum separately, but it's been phenomenal this year. We have kids that have, and it's not just 1 or 2, it's a handful of kids that have already made well over 100% of their expected growth for the year. And we're only halfway through the school year. Like, we're talking 20 and sometimes 30 kids in a grade level have made over 100% growth of where they started, what was expected, and where they end. They're already surpassed. That's, if you're 200% growth, you've made 100% past what you were expected to make by the end of the year. And it has really been fascinating to see the data.
Are there any questions for Chad or Leslie?
Can I add one more thing? Just because I know as people are starting to plan their springs, SOLs for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, we are testing the first week of May through the last week of May. There will be an email coming out if you would like your student to have an opportunity to take our retake. You can give permission for that, or you can say no, thank you. And that's if they score in between a 375 or a 400, they would have the opportunity to take the SOL again. I'll have that schedule finalized in the next couple of weeks and we'll post it so everybody knows. But I know like things come up, college graduations, Mother's Day, weddings. There's lots of things that go on in May. So we'll get those dates out so people are aware when your students will be assessed at school. And if you could try to avoid being absent on those days, that would be most helpful. But of course, we have makeup days if necessary. And then the one other thing I just wanted to add is your SEL screener data, if you haven't received it in the mail yet already, is coming. And that assessment was given to 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders in September when we had been out of school for a long time. So just, you know, if you read that data and you're like, wow, they say they're not connected or they feel like they don't have somebody at school, just know that we're using that data and that's what's driving a lot of our groups and who we're inviting to groups, and we're making sure they have a mentor. And so that data is really driving a lot of what we're doing within school. But if you have any questions about that data that gets sent home, please feel free to reach out and we can walk you through what that means, because it's a little bit confusing.
There was a question in the chats here about AAP 5th grade students going to 6th grade AAP school. When's the transition period? So I'm not sure if that's referring to 5th grade going to Canterbury to stay in AAP or then transitioning to Holmes, or perhaps Anaf, you want to expand on that?
Actually, there is we just talked about that, and I know Miss Jenkins is putting together a letter to go home to 5th grade level 4 students soon. We just literally had that conversation and exchange of we started looking at all the different dates and things that we needed to do from now to spring break, and that is on the list. So I will bring that back up with her and just make sure that gets out sooner rather than later.
Yeah, thank you. I got the answer.
Perfect. All right. Anything else, Chad, Leslie? Any other questions for them before we move on to our main topic? All right. Well, we are very pleased to welcome Ashley, and I'm hoping I'm saying the last name right, Nemeth, who's from Virginia 529. And I mentioned earlier, it's a college savings program. So she's going to give us a little presentation, and I'm sure that there are going to be lots of questions about that. If not from Mr. McRae, from all kinds of other people in our audience here. So Ashley, I'm going to go ahead and turn the screen over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me out. Hopefully you don't drill me too bad, Chad, but you did pronounce my last name flawlessly. Thank you. But I will be changing it in October, so you'll have to learn a whole new one. So let me get my screen up here. And hopefully, let me know if it's wonky here. All right. So yes, my name's Ashley. I am a regional rep for Virginia 529. So tonight I kind of want to go over some of the features and benefits and all of the advantages, but mostly answer any questions that you guys may have tonight. So first we're going to go over the importance of saving, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about who Virginia 529 is. But most of the time is going to be spent covering all those features and benefits to help families save. And those are going to include the requirements to open up an account, the purchase options, your payout coverage. Mostly I want to talk about all of the tax advantages and then the next steps that you would take to start or continue saving. And then we'll leave the second half to go over any questions that you guys have. So I do work directly with Virginia 529. We're an independent agency of the state. So I won't be giving any legal, financial, or tax benefits advice tonight. And just due to the time constraints, we probably won't get into any super in-depth personal circumstances or scenarios, but I really should be able to answer any questions you guys have about the program itself. So first, let's talk about why you want to save versus worrying about paying the bill when that time comes. So we just really have the saving versus borrowing to put into perspective for you here, and how that interest can work for you instead of against you. So if you look at the first bar graph there, that shows if you wanted to save to pay a $35,000 bill, you could save $100 a month for 18 years, and that's going to result in a little over $21,000 in savings. And then you're going to have an additional $13,400 of an assumed 5% earning. Now, on the second bar graph, that shows if you wanted to wait and borrow that same $35,000, you would actually end up paying a total of $48,720. So now that's going to mean payments of $406 a month for 10 years. And that's if you borrowed at the standard 7% interest rate. So that alone, it's pretty significant reason to save versus borrow. And even if you aren't able to save that entire amount that's needed, just saving something really does drastically cut down on not only your total amount, but your monthly amount needed. And then one more scary graph. So this is just showing you that cost of waiting. And the longer, the sooner that you do start saving, the longer you're going to have to earn that interest I talked about in the previous slide. And this is just showing that waiting 1 year to start saving $100 a month, that could result in $4,000 less in savings. And a lot of families don't start thinking about it until kindergarten, but waiting until those 5 years could result in $16,000 less in savings. So even though it's a little bit overwhelming, we do really just encourage families to start saving as soon as possible. So just a quick overview of Virginia 529. So 529 plans do help families plan and save for higher education, and they do offer tax advantages on all that money saved. And here at Virginia 529, we have been helping families for over 25 years since our first account opened up back in 1996. And we're very fortunate. We've grown to be the largest and one of the top choices in the nation. And that's due part to our various portfolio options. We have some of the lowest fees and lowest starting contributions. So recently we did change the starting contribution down to $10 just to make sure that we're being inclusive to everyone. Now, one of the main features of 529s are those tax advantages. All of your contributions, they're going to grow tax-free, and that is on the state and on the federal level. So what that means for you is that you're never going to pay taxes on the money that you earn within your account as long as it's used for higher education. So we have this chart to just show those true benefits of tax-free earnings. So if you look at the first bar graph, that's the one in all blue. That shows a traditional taxable account. So that could be if you have a savings account, maybe you have a brokerage account. Now, let's say you save $200 a month in that account for 18 years. You would have a little over $65,000 to then use. Now, in the second bar graph in blue and green, that shows if you save the same exact $200, but this time you did it in a tax advantaged account like a 529, you're going to have almost $80,000 to then use for higher education. So that's going to be over $14,000 of added savings just thanks to tax-free earnings. So this really is a pretty substantial difference with no change to the actual contributions that you made. And then aside from those tax-free earnings, if you are a Virginia taxpayer, you're going to be able to deduct up to $4,000 on your state taxes. And that $4,000, it is per account and per year, and we have an unlimited carry forward to it. And if you're an account owner 70 or older, you're going to be able to deduct all of your contributions in that same year that you made them. You won't be limited to a carry forward. And I do want to note that the state tax deduction, it is for the account owners only. So if you own an account and someone is gifting and contributing money to that account, you will be the one that receives the state tax deduction for all of those contributions. So I know that can be a little bit confusing. So we have broken that per account and per year down to a couple of examples over on the right-hand side of just how you can make that work for you. So if you look up top in example 1, that shows if you had $8,000 and you were to contribute to one account in 2020, you as the owner are now going to be able to deduct $4,000 on your 2020 state taxes. And with the unlimited carry forward, you're going to be able to deduct the leftover $4,000 on the next year's 2021 state taxes. Unless, of course, you are 70 or older. And in that case, you're going to be able to take that entire $8,000 deduction in 2020. There's no carry forward. Now, another way that this can work for you in example 2 at the bottom, if you had that same $8,000, but maybe this time you split and contribute $4,000 to 2 separate accounts. And that could be 2 accounts for you have open for 1 student, or maybe you have 2 students and they each have their own account. But now you're going to be able to take the entire $8,000 deduction in 2020 year that you made it. So it is not per student or per owner, it is per account. So tonight I am going to be mostly talking about NSES, which is our direct sold savings program. And when I say direct sold, what I mean is that you're opening up your account and you're going to be conducting your transactions online with us directly. So pretty similar to how you interact with an online bank account. Some eligibility requirements here on the screen. First, the account owner must either be a US citizen or a legal resident. And you absolutely don't have to be a resident of Virginia to have an account with us. We don't have an age limit for the student that you're saving for. And there's also no specific enrollment period. So you can really go online at any time and open up your account. And we do have over 20 different investment portfolios for you to choose from. And we have broke it down to 3 steps on how you can get started. So your first step is going to be deciding which portfolio or combination of portfolios you want to invest in. And then from there, you need to decide what amount you're going to contribute, and then how often are you going to make those contributions. So it's often compared to a 401k type investment option, just with the choices that you have to make in order to customize it for yourself, your goals, and whatever your time horizon is. We do have many portfolio options, and I do want to give a brief overview. They are kind of categorized into 5 different categories here. And the first one I do want to talk about is our most popular. That's our target enrollment portfolio. And these are going to be our very hands-off, set it and forget it approach, where you're going to put the money in however much you choose. And then that portfolio is going to gradually and purposefully get a little more conservative each year. So this is going to continue doing that up until that student reaches high school graduation. And it's really easy to pick the portfolio. If you note at the bottom, the portfolio name aligns with the year closest to when they're going to graduate. So if you had an 11-year-old you wanted to save for, you'd want to look at that 2030 portfolio. And then from there, save whatever amount and however often you want to, and it'll just get a little more conservative each year. We also have index portfolios, and these really track the performance of a broad market. And then they're going to seek to match that risk and return. And these ones typically do have the lowest fees of our other investment options. But where these are going to differ from those target enrollment ones is these remain static. So they're not going to shift over time unless you make the decision to do so. There's also target risk portfolios. And these really hold a diversified mix of stocks, bonds, cash, and other investments. And you can see that they are going to span the risk tolerance from conservative all the way to aggressive. So they're really designed for someone who wants that static investment, but they want it based off of their risk tolerance at the time that they're making those contributions. And within this, you can either choose actively or passively managed. And the main difference there is that the passively managed portfolios, they're going to aim to replicate the market, where the actively managed portfolios are going to aim to outperform the market. We do, of course, have principal protected portfolios, and these, of course, are designed to protect against any loss to your original investment. Within this, there's an FDIC insured, or you can choose the stable value portfolio. Again, these are going to remain static as well. And then a relatively new third option for the principal protected is our tuition track portfolio. This one did just launch in February of last year. So this one's going to be a little bit different. So with this, you are going to be purchasing units, and then those units stay in stride with tuition inflation. So that means your unit cost and the payout is going to be based off of the weighted average tuition at Virginia public colleges. That's how we determine the cost of those. But it can be used outside of the state of Virginia. It can be used at any eligible institution. And for more than just tuition, you can use it for your books, your room and board, any of those qualified expenses. We do have a webinar that is strictly just dedicated to this portfolio. So if you wanted to learn more about this, or if you want to see if it's a good fit for you, that webinar, joining it is going to be the best way to get a ton of information on that. All right, the last one, I promise. So we have specialty portfolios. So these are going to include investment options that don't fall under those other categories that I already mentioned. So this is where you're going to find that ESG investment option. So if you're looking for something that's going to use financial, environmental, social, and governance criteria when it's selecting funds, this is going to be our socially responsible portfolio. And also the global equity, and that one is just international and domestic equities within it. So most of the portfolios, except for the principal protected, they are going to be subject to market conditions. So if the market goes up, your investment goes up, and vice versa. But you are able to change your investment selection or your portfolio twice per calendar year without any kind of penalty. Our portfolio fees are super competitive. They're going to range from 0.069% to 0.569%. Sorry, we did just update those last week. Actually, they went down even a little more. Also, we have details such as performance history. You can look into all of our investment managers and the underlying funds on our website listed here. So if you do want to dig a little bit deeper, it is very transparent, and we encourage you to do so. Another great resource I want to mention, if you're having information overload, you just don't know which portfolio is right for you, we have this super awesome portfolio selection assistant on our website. And with that, you're just going to like plug in a little bit of information about you and your goals, and it's going to narrow those 20 plus portfolios down to about 3 or 4 that might align with, you know, your goals and your time horizons. All right, so now let's move on to the next step. So once you've chosen a portfolio, now it's time to decide how much and how often to contribute in order to grow that account. And we do have several options for everyone. So first, you could set up an automatic contribution that could come straight from your checking or your savings account. Or you can just choose to do one-time contributions when it's most convenient for you. We do also offer payroll direct deposit, and that's just going to be a post-tax direct deposit that's going to go straight into your account from your paycheck. We do also offer a lot of gifting opportunities, either for people looking to give or receive gifts as well. And we've definitely noticed that gifting money for college has become a lot more prominent in the last few years. So one thing is we have physical gift cards in many stores all across Virginia. You can go on our website and find a location near you. We also have the paper gift certificates, so that's something you could customize and print at home yourself as well. But I do want to note that when you open up an account, you are assigned a unique gift code, and you can take that code, you can share it on social media, you can print it on birth or graduation announcements, or birthday party invitations, because sharing that code, it's not going to give anyone access to your account information. It only gives them the option to gift and to send money into your account. And just as a reminder, if someone is gifting money into your account, you as the owner are the one that receives that state tax deduction for all of those contributions. Now, when it comes time to use the money, it's just as simple here. The money can be used at any eligible institution worldwide. And that's not just going to be your traditional four-year universities. You can use it at other types of schools as well. So technical and vocational schools, you can use it for training programs, registered apprenticeships, which is a new update. And a really good rule of thumb that we like to tell people is if the school accepts FAFSA, so if they take federal financial aid, then you can absolutely use your 529 funds at that school. And your payout, it's not going to vary based off of the type of school that you choose, whether it happens to be public, private, in-state, out-of-state, or even out of country. And then another very exciting update is that you can now use your 529 savings towards public, private, and religious K through 12 schools. The money can then be used to pay for a variety of expenses. We do have a list of examples here on the screen for you. So of course, you can use it towards your tuition, but it can also be used towards your fees, room and board, whether that's on campus or off campus, any of the required supplies or equipment, of course, textbooks, computers, and any special needs services. And most recently, you can now use up to $10,000 of 529 funds for student loan repayment as well. I do want to briefly mention two other programs here, one being College America. So everything we talked about up until this point was Invest 529. That's our direct sold program. You're opening up, you're managing it. With College America, this is going to give you the opportunity, if you'd like to build and customize a portfolio with a licensed financial advisor. Their contact information is here on the screen. I do want to note that your opening contribution and your fees, those will both vary just based off of the advisor that you're personally choosing to work with. And then a completely separate subject, but an absolutely worthwhile one, is our Able Now program. So this is also a Virginia-sponsored program, but the savings are for individuals with disabilities. And these accounts really help increase their quality of life without having to jeopardize their means-tested benefits. So if they're receiving SSI, SSDI, or Medicaid, and for a long time, individuals with disabilities were only able to save $2,000 without being at risk of losing those benefits. So this program is awesome. What it does is it alleviates that $2,000 limitation, and it's also going to give similar tax incentives as the 529 program. So if you have any interest in that, or if you know anybody that can benefit from it, please do share this information. We do also give free information sessions on the Able Now program as well. We have some next steps here on the screen. Subscribe to our newsletter. You'll get the most current updates with all of our programs. There are tons of resources and calculators and planning tools on the website. You can open up your account right online as well. And most importantly, we want to share this promotion we have going on right now. It is an enter to win $529 towards an Invest 529 account. So you just have to go to Virginia529.com/win. And hopefully one of you guys ends up being that lucky winner. It is a really great way to jumpstart your account. So I'll leave it on here with our customer service information, email, phone number, all that good stuff. I'll drop my email in the chat feature as well in case any of you guys have any questions in the future and you want to reach out. But I'll leave it there. And I don't know if there's some questions in the chat feature yet, or if you guys just want to hop out and ask those as well.
So we got a couple of questions in the chat, Ashley. So first of all, thank you so much for the information. It's very, very informational. And this is being recorded, so we'll also have it on our YouTube channel, and be sure to push that out so people can also see the information even if they've missed it tonight. So one question though is, can we get a copy of the PowerPoint deck?
Yeah, absolutely. I will email you that right after this. I'll get
Okay.
you a PDF of all these slides.
Perfect. And then we'll put, just to make it easier for everybody, we'll put a link to it in the description of the video on our YouTube channel. So if you're not a subscriber to our YouTube channel yet, make sure that you click that button to subscribe and click on the bell to get notifications. You can tell I've done that a little bit in my podcast days. So a couple of other questions we have here. Do you need a separate account for each one of your children or just one account?
So when you open up an account, you're only able to name one account owner and one beneficiary or one student of the account. So hypothetically, if you did have multiple children, you could be squirreling away money in there, but all three of their names wouldn't be able to be on it, and you can only pull from the account whoever the student is named on it. We do allow you to change that student twice per calendar year with no penalty. So if the students are going to be attending college around the same time, it might get messy trying to flip-flop that student back and forth. Won't give advice on whatever works best for you, but sometimes it does get messy if they are close in age. So I hope that answers that.
The $529 raffle, is that just for existing, or sorry, for new customers, or is that for existing as well?
That is for everyone. So if you haven't opened an account yet, you're eligible to enter to win. If you already have an account with us, you can absolutely enter to win as well. It's just that $529 that you win. It wouldn't go into your existing account. You would open up an additional account with that $529.
Gotcha. All right, question has not been asked, but I'm sure that people are probably thinking of it. What if I put money into an account and let's say my child decides not to go to college? Then what happens to the money?
Okay, I will touch on that. And another one that I get, that is the most frequently asked question that I get, as well as what if my student gets a scholarship and they end up not needing those funds anymore? But I'll answer yours first. So you do have, with most of our portfolios, up to 30 years after that student's graduation date to decide what you want to do with the funds. So that leaves time for plenty of gap years. Maybe they're going to use it later for grad school. Honestly, with that time window of 30 years, it could almost be something that could be a generational gift and passed on to their children. But you also have the option of changing that beneficiary to another family member. And that's not just siblings. You could transfer it over to a cousin as well, and there's no penalty for doing that. So if you have another family member that could use those funds, you can be like the coolest uncle in the world and gift that. If you do, I'll go over the scholarship too. So if the student gets a scholarship, nobody's going to get punished for that. We actually have a scholarship reimbursement form. So when you submit that, you're going to be able to withdraw funds all the way up to that scholarship amount without any kind of penalty. It's the money in there has already been taxed. So you're not going to be taxed on that or anything. It would just be treated as ordinary income. But if there's not the scholarship involved, you have no one to transfer it to, nobody's going to use the funds, you absolutely can cash it out. But two things are going to happen. So all of your contributions were growing tax-free that entire time. So when you withdraw it, your gains are going to have a 10% penalty. So not the entire account, just the gains. So the 10% penalty on the gains, and then the gains would be treated as ordinary income on your taxes that year. But again, your contributions, every single dollar that goes into your account is always post-tax. So there's no additional taxation for those funds.
All right. Are there any other questions for Ashley?
What about like if you have a child that goes to, let's say, one of the academies or something like that, where, you know, Uncle Sam's paying for their service, and how flexible can you be with, you know, there's still a lot of needs as far as travel, transportation, back and forth and that kind of thing, can you use the funds, if you're living on campus, off campus, whatever? I'm just thinking of, different conundrums that always pop up that, and it always happens when you don't have just money, ordinary money to pay for some of that stuff.
Yeah. And say the GI Bill paid for my college, so I absolutely understand the like red tape of trying to dance that line with financial aid and what they'll cover and all that. So you can, if that school, I don't know which particular one, so I don't want to speak in absolutes for that. But if that school does take federal financial aid, you can use your funds towards that school. Or if they're going to be living off campus and they're going to have expenses with that, you can use the funds for off campus living. When you go to the school's website, they kind of have like a breakdown of all the fees, and they'll say on there how much they charge for room and board. So you can use up to that amount for off campus living as well. But if it's not a full ride scholarship and there's other expenses that go along with it, you could use the 529 funds for that. But of course, it is your account and it's your money. So if you did want to cash it out, that is an option as well if it's not needed anymore.
Ashley, is there any chance of the prepaid reopening?
No, not any chance in the near future. That really pretty much everyone was priced out of it. Like the regular Virginian could not afford to even buy into the program anymore, just because inflation is so obscene right now. So we did away with that one, I think 2-3 years ago. So all of those are still honored. Anyone who had the prepaid account, those are being wrote out. But we kind of did that tuition track portfolio as an alternative to it to try to fight that tuition inflation.
Any other questions? Right. So Ashley, what's the best way to get a hold of you if anybody does have questions afterwards? And then I'll read another comment here. Oh, there you go. Oh,
I just dropped my email in there, so feel free if you have a question that pops up later. Hopefully I can answer it for you. If not, we'll get the right answer for you.
I'll pop it in there. You just sent it to me.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Okay. And Christy would like to plug that Nova is awesome if you don't get to save enough. So disclaimer, she does work there.
I love a good shameless plug.
All right. So here's Ashley's email address.
Thank
you.
Katie, questions?
Oh, I just have a quick question. So I have a myriad of accounts with Virginia 529 that I've opened since my kids were born. I know you said don't get into a personal. So basically, they're different types of accounts, and you guys have adjusted the types of accounts that you've had over time, right? So you started with there was only the invest and the prepaid at first, and then now you could roll it over, and then now there's the new type. And then I was just wondering, is it okay if you have like some semesters of prepaid and some semesters of invest based upon what you can afford?
Yeah, like yes, girl, if you got into that prepaid, like absolutely you keep that and use it for what you can. But since you can no longer make contributions to that account, it is really, you're not alone. There's a lot of people in that same boat with you. So with the prepaid, it was a little bit different. So the prepaid was a standalone program. Invest 529 was a standalone. And then we had College America. But with the tuition track portfolio, it's no longer a standalone program. It's part of the Invest 529. But even with your prepaid, you could transfer funds into another account. But if you transfer out of that prepaid into a different portfolio, We're not going to let you back in. So, but with all the other portfolios, you can swap back and forth and change twice a year.
Yeah.
With no penalty.
Okay, thank you so much. That's it's not like I didn't know if like by someone who's not someone I'm on hold with for 45 minutes and then I finally get to talk to, if you know if you could have a kind of a candid, not canned but candid response as to, you know, having mixed, like it's so that it's like as long as it pays for their college, like
Yep.
who cares?
Yeah,
Thank
and feel free, my email is in that chat feature. So if you're on hold, just give me an email and we'll chat.
Well, I might do that. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Ashley? All right. Well, if you do, feel free to email her, and she's pretty quick to reply back, and she's very patient as well. I know we've had some backs and forths email conversations that have been going on for a couple months now, I think, Ashley, right?
We're old friends by now.
Exactly. So we're very, very happy though that you were able to join us today. And I know it's very informational. And like I said, it's going to be on our YouTube channel in perpetuity as well. So, you know, people who weren't able to make the meeting tonight will also have the opportunity to hear from you. And we'll be sure to plug that in some of our future communications. Just, hey, if you missed it, make sure that you check this out. Maybe even in News You Choose, Chad, perhaps we can drop something on there once we get the YouTube video up. All right. So, well, again, thank you, Ashley, for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, anytime. You're always welcome back. You know, maybe we'll have you back for a future meeting as well if there's a demand for it. Just a couple of the closing things here is, let's see, our next meeting is going to be March 8th. Topic is TBD. We don't quite have a topic yet. We also have several volunteer opportunities that are available. Just to plug those again, movie night is going to be in April 22nd. So just a short-term commitment for that one. In-person fundraisers, we got more that we're hopefully going to put together in the spring. So short-term commitments for that. We would love to have a restaurant coordinator. The job for that is to just coordinate with restaurants and set up some of our our spirit nights, so people can go and eat, and a portion of the proceeds go towards supporting the PTA, which ultimately gets reinvested back into the school and to the teachers. Nominating committee for late spring, as I mentioned, that's moderate commitment level. Mathathon, short-term or moderate. Wellness committee is moderate investment, and then of course the spring fair, May 13th, that would be probably a moderate commitment. So if you have any questions, please feel free to message me. If you have questions for Ashley, please feel free to email her as well. So with that said, if there are no other items to cover that anybody wants to bring up, is there a motion of unanimous consent to adjourn for the evening? I think Chad messaged.
Motion to adjourn.
All righty, without objection, it is so ordered, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.